Hello, everyone, and welcome to this new session tonight. I hope all of you are doing great and taking care of yourself. All right. So it's a new week, and with that, we're back with a new series for our YouTube live sessions. Since Kerala HSST PSC exam is around the corner, we thought that, okay, let's do some sessions for this so that you all can get some extra practice, some more revision. All right, great. So welcome again. And now let's get started with our session tonight. Okay, right. So let me start by sharing my screen with you all. Yes, I believe all of you can see the screen. Right. So welcome. Yes, yes, welcome. Good evening, good evening. All right. So welcome to Kerala HSST exam practice session 1. Let's move on to the first question for tonight. Which 4 English novelists does F.R. Leavis primarily focus on as the central figures of the great tradition? Tell me, who are the great tradition? Which novelists are called as the great tradition by F.R. Leavis? Tell me. Easy question, right? Yes. The Great Tradition is a book of literary criticism by F.R. Leavis, published in 1948. And in this work, he talks about Jane Austen, George Eliot, Henry James, and Joseph Conrad as the Great Tradition. Right? Yes, very good, correct. He talks about Jane Austen, George Eliot, Henry James, and Joseph Conrad as the great tradition. Please remember these names. Okay, very good. Next. According to Aristotle's Poetics, which of the following best represents his actual stance on the 3 unities in drama? We know that Poetics, it's a major work of criticism by Aristotle, the philosopher from classical Greece. Poetics is primarily known for its principles on tragedy. In Poetics, Aristotle lays down the principles of tragedy. And here, he also discusses on the 3 unities in drama. Which 3 unities? Unities of time, place, and action. And according to Aristotle, what is his opinion on these 3 unities in drama? Yes, he emphasized the unity of action. He also mentioned the unity of time, but never endorsed the unity of place. It's a very important question from this work, Aristotle's Poetics, a work which has 26 chapters. So in this work, Aristotle emphasized the unity of action. He also mentioned the unity of time, but he never endorsed the unity of place. Okay, clear? These minute details are very important for these exams. Okay, right. Next. What is the specific offense or crime that Leela Benare is officially charged with during the mock trial in the play? Now, which play are we talking about here? It is the play Silence. The court is in session by the Marathi playwright Vijay Tendulkar. And this play features a mock play within it. The mock play in which we see that a teacher called Miss Leela Benare, she is almost attacked, she is harassed by her colleagues in this particular theatre group through this tool of a mock trial. And she is harassed, she is attacked verbally. For what specific crime of hers? It is what? Infanticide and unwed motherhood. Again, very ironically, it is the woman's character which is assassinated openly by these people. It was not her child alone. It was also the child of Professor Damle, a married man who had willingly indulged in this affair, extramarital affair with Leela Benare. But no one questioned his activities, his character, his intentions. His reputation was never at stake. But very conveniently, people attacked Leela Benares' character. Her character was publicly assassinated by these people in the course of this mock trial in the play Silence, the court is in session. And here this court is actually a microscopic, this mock trial, it's a microscopic representation of the macroscopic social structure which always blames the women for everything. This mock trial here in this play, it's a microscopic representation of the macroscopic social structure, which always very conveniently attacks women, targets women. Okay, right. So she was attacked, harassed verbally for infanticide and unwed motherhood. Okay, right. Next. When the speaker describes Elizabeth Boyle's eyes, he claims that they are brighter than which classical mythological entity or symbol. Now we can understand it's a question from Spenser's marriage song called Epithalamion. It's a song which celebrates the marriage of Spenser to his lady love, Elizabeth Boyle. It's a marriage song which celebrates the marriage of Spenser to his lady love, Elizabeth Boyle. And here, Spenser, the speaker, describes his lady love, his bride to be, Elizabeth Boyle's eyes to the lamps of the celestial signs, lamps of the heaven. The speaker asserts that the eyes of his bride, the eyes of his bride are brighter than the lamps of the heaven. The lamps of the heaven. Okay, such textual questions can be important because it's a text-based syllabus, right? Only certain texts have been prescribed in your syllabus. So examiners will absolutely check if you have read this text, if you are well accustomed to the textual details. Okay, so make sure you know this text well, right? Good. Next, in the preface to the Lyrical Ballads, Wordsworth states that the principal object of his poems is to choose incidents and situations from common life. and to follow them through what? Preface to the Lyrical Ballads. The Manifesto of Romantic Criticism it is by Wordsworth. Here, he states that the principal objective of his poems is to choose incidents and situations from common life and to follow them through a selection of language really used by men and to express them in a selection of language really used by common man. Okay, you all know this. It's very easy, right? Very good. Next. In the Custom House introduction, where do you have the Custom House introduction? In The Scarlet Letter by Nathaniel Hawthorne. This work was published in 1850, and it's a work produced by American Renaissance. We also cannot forget that Nathaniel Hawthorne was a major member of dark romanticism. Keeping that in mind, let's read. In the Custom House introduction of The Scarlet Letter by Nathaniel Hawthorne, how does the narrator describe his ancestors' approach to life, which establishes a thematic parallel to his own conflicted relationship with art and Puritan rigidity? Very important. Tell me. He says that his ancestors, the speaker says that his ancestors were men of military prowess and rigid piety who viewed writers and poets as scribblers. So the speaker here says that his ancestors were very rigid Puritan men. And according to them, the writers are idle people, useless, mere scribblers. Okay, got it? Very good. So, from today, we have started our West Bengal Assistant Professor interview workshop. Right? Today, our Kalyani ma'am had the first session with our candidates. Today, ma'am taught contemporary literatures. And as you all know, the application deadline for this West Bengal assistant professor has been extended to 18th June. So if any of you is wondering out there, if you can still fill the form, yes. The application deadline has been extended till 18th of June, and even the age limit has been extended. So if you haven't looked it up yet, you can do that. And here we have something for you. Here, this is the schedule that we will be following for our West Bengal Assistant Professor Interview Skills Special Workshop. As I told you today, we have had our first session where our Kalyani ma'am taught the candidates about contemporary literatures. And in our upcoming sessions, we will be covering these areas, which we think are very essential for the upcoming interviews. Not only for West Bengal assistant professorship, but for any assistant professor job. Okay, so next, on 25th May, we will be having our session on traditional literatures. So if you want to join us, please do so. Okay, great. Now let's move on. In the context of Marlow, so where do we have Marlow? Marlow is the narrator in Joseph Conrad's Heart of Darkness. So in The context of this Marlow's journey up the Congo. What is the significance of the book he discovers in the reed hut near the central station, authored by Towson? What is so important about that book that Marlow finds in the reed hut near the central station? And that book is by someone called Towson. What is so important about this book? What is that book about? Tell me. It is a simplistic, practical guide on navigation whose meticulousness provides a stark contrast to the surrounding chaos. So, this book, called An Enquiry into Some Points of Seamanship by a man called Towson. So, what is the name of the book here? The book is called An Enquiry into Some Points of Seamanship. And this book is authored by a man called Towson. It represents European order, discipline, and rationality, this book. Its mundane, practical nature deeply intrigues Marlow, and it acts as an anchor to sanity amidst the terrifying absurdity of the Congo jungle. And this book, An Enquiry into Some Points of Seamanship, it's a simplistic, practical guide on navigation. Okay, again, a very important textual question from Conrad's Heart of Darkness. Okay, right. Next. Are you all enjoying the session? Yes? Good. The poem's epigraph, item I give unto my wife, my second best bed. This is the epigraph of which poem? This is the epigraph of the poem Anne Hathaway by Carroll and Duffy. So this poem's epigraph, item I give unto my wife, my second best bed, is historically derived from which work or which place or which source? Tell me. This is the epigraph of the poem Anne Hathaway by Carroll and Duffy. This epigraph has been borrowed from William Shakespeare's Last Will and Testament, right? So this epigraph here is a direct quotation from Shakespeare's will, which famously left his wife Anne his second best bed. This phrase has traditionally been interpreted by historians as a slight, but Duffy reimagines it entirely as an intimate romantic bequest. Okay, this epigraph is it carries a very deep symbolic significance, right? Good. Next, in Act 2, Scene 3 of Twelfth Night, Sir Toby Belch famously rebuts Malvolio by asking, doesn't thou think because thou art virtuous, there shall be no more cakes and ale? What cultural and historical context does this line predominantly attack? What is Sir Toby Belch attacking here? Or what is Sir Toby Belch here reacting against? What is he reacting against? Twelfth Night, or what you will. Twelfth Night, or what you will. It's a mature romantic comedy by Shakespeare. Right. It's a mature romantic comedy by Shakespeare. And the very title of this play, Twelfth Night, it has a religious connotation to it. It refers to the Easter festival. Right. And here Sir Toby Belch is reacting against what? The growing influence of Puritans and their opposition to traditional festival festive holidays. So cakes and ale were traditional festive treats associated with religious and secular holidays in England. But the Puritans were strictly opposed to these celebrations and to excessive merrymaking, making Malvolio's character, whom Maria later describes as the devil a Puritan, the perfect antithesis to revelry. So here, Malvolio is a very strict Puritan, and the Puritans were against this excessive merrymaking and fun and foods. So here's a Toby Welch is reacting to this rigidity of these Puritans. Okay, it's a very, very important quote from this play. It's a very, very important quote from this play. That doesn't thou think, because thou art virtuous, there shall be no more cakes and ale. So he's reacting against the excessive rigidness of the Puritans, against fun and foods and merrymaking. And also, please look up the symbolic significance of this title, Twelfth Night. Yes, just for more revision. I know you all know this, but just some for more revision. Okay? Right. Next. In chapter 5 of James Joyce's A Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man, Stephen Dedalus composes a villanelle dedicated to Emma Clary, EC, which poet's work directly inspired the rhythmic cadence and inspiration for this poem. Again, a textual question from James Joyce's A Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man. So this villanelle composed by Stephen here was inspired by Thomas Campion. Thomas Campion. Stephen is captivated by the Elizabethan poet Thomas Campion, particularly his lyric poem, Rose-cheeked Laura, which inspires the metrical structure and sensuous swirling rhythm of the villanelle he composes in the novel for Emma Clary. For Emma Clary. He was inspired by Thomas Campion. Okay, very good. Next. In Epistemology of the Closet, Eve Kosofsky-Sedgwick identifies two major, often conflicting views that guide sexual identity and desire. What are these conflicting views, according to Sedgwick, that guide sexual identity and desire? Tell me. It is minoritizing and universalizing views. In this work, Epistemology of the Closet, Eve Kosofsky-Sedgwick explores how Western thought is fractured by these two competing perspectives. The minoritizing view argues that sexual orientation affects only a specific minority of people, while the universalizing view argues that sexual desire is an issue of importance in the lives of everyone across the board. So there's two conflicting views are there, according to Eve Kosofsky-Sedgwick, as explored in the work Epistemology of the Closet. Okay, got it? Very good. And here, one last question for tonight for you all. When the poem Out of the Cradle Endlessly Rocking was first published in the New York Saturday Press in December 1859, what was its original title? So what was the original title of Walt Whitman's poem Out of the Cradle Endlessly Rocking? What was the original title of this poem? Tell me, what was the original title of this poem? It is. Yes, it is. A child's reminiscence. A child's reminiscence. Okay, yes. A child's reminiscence was the original title of the poem. Out of the Cradle, Endlessly Rocking by Walt Whitman. Okay, got it. Great. And again, if you guys want, you can join our West Bengal assistant professor interview, where we will be covering all this. See, contemporary literatures, traditional literatures, current affairs, grammar and teaching skills, new approaches in theory and cultural studies, post-colonial writers in and research methods, subaltern and marginal writers, contemporary Indian literature, research methods and recent trends in literature, linguistics and ELT, and NEP and West Bengal studies. We will be covering all these areas very thoroughly. And also, we will be providing you with recordings of these sessions. We will also provide you with the recordings of these sessions. So if you want, you can join us. Okay, great. So thank you so much to you all for joining and staying and answering these questions. I hope you all loved the session. I hope you all enjoyed answering these questions. So do take care, keep learning, keep studying, and we will be back again tomorrow at 9:30 p.m. Okay, bye. Okay, bye. Take care.